Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Who am I? I'm Kerry Mussington, founder and director of the Mind Over Matter project, also known as the MOM Suicide Prevention. I am a human library living with emotionally unstable personality disorder, also known in the box down there, EUPD. EUPD fights back. I'm 50, very briefly, and I've been living with the diagnosis for a very long time. But when I first was given the diagnosis, I did not understand the diagnosis. But as we go through the years of self-harm and turbulence, all the baggage that comes with it, I realized that we got these labels because of the interaction with other people. And I mean other people. There's can be some trauma with these diagnoses, and therefore, where did the trauma come from? Other people. So getting to trust people is difficult. Getting to understand people is, well, that's easy. It's easy to understand people that sometimes that they don't handle their own emotions. And it's not always the people with a label that is a problem. It's generally somebody else that's not willing to understand what is going on. It's a little bit like a marriage, these labels, a little bit like a marriage. You have to work hard to achieve a good communication and a good understanding of people's emotions. So I'm going to remove the label for a moment and not make sure there is equality here when we're talking about people's emotions. When we're dealing with people's emotions, and that means, and it doesn't take a label to understand an emotion of a man or a woman and what they may be going through or enduring. Now, oftentimes people fall out with other people and then it causes rejection. That rejection feeling, that emotional feeling, sometimes says we're not good enough. Now, I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, and you don't have to have a label to feel that way. Some people just didn't make it to the doctors to understand their emotion. So they just mask things under the table sometimes. But what I've done over the years, and that's why I developed this program, because the program that I developed is a test, it's a big test. Can you achieve in life and have a disability? There was a time when I was an ex-service user that I was going through so much emotions, domestic violence, harassment, all of those things that, people being horrible, calling names, online bullying, offline bullying, same thing. There was a time where all of these emotions that we carry, it's not going to be good for anyone, let alone someone with a diagnosis who struggles to deal with their emotions. Dealing with those emotions, some people injure themselves when they experience rejection, and because they feel they're completely not good enough, because society has made them feel that way. First of all, we take a baby who is then taught and witnesses things throughout their life, things that they perhaps should never witness. Then you've got the going into the school where then they're getting bullied at school, and there's this, and then they've got the rubbish when they go home. So when we try to make a network of supportive people around us and somebody is indifferent, somebody doesn't have the same view or the same thought process of you, that's where you can fall out with people if the aims are not the same. And I think an expectation of someone, we have high expectations, and when those expectations are not met, we start to feel all sorts. Hold on, I thought we had a deal here. I told you what I was like when I met you. You told me what you were like, and you told me where you were going. So when that changes and there's an imbalance, it can make someone feel very miserable, rocky, and rejected and alone. Now, doing what I do, and I just give my time to talk to people and those that had no one to talk to. I've given time over the years for people to talk to. But I've seen people come and I've seen people go. Those people that I've seen go, I can actually say that the commitment to change is obviously, if they're no longer here, then somebody has let go of your hand. And if they've let go of your hand, what's the reason they've let go of your hand? What's the problem? What's the real problem? People let go of your hands. For me, like I said, I understand when people push people away, when something silly happens or a comment is made. Sometimes it's giving somebody the opportunity to put things right, to understand where they're coming from. It's important. And when that's not given, or someone says, no, that's all right, I just don't want to talk, and I'm going to shut it off today. They shut off their phone, they shut off their mobile, that you can't get hold of them, but they're rejecting something. Now, I know this is my honest, true reflection of the mind of borderline personality disorders or emotionally unstable personality disorders. This is my true reflection, only from my own experience and other people that I've spoken to and done research with, who allow me to do research. Okay? People will go cold on you when they're good and ready, and they'll shut down. It's that shutting down where they don't want to talk. They want to go into the silent world, leaving you, the one that's worried about them, with worry. And when they go silent, who's worried here? You, constantly. And when you can't get hold of someone, it's more of a constant worry. So what do you do when they're not worried about you? But they are worried about you, but they reject you on purpose. So they don't have anyone to care for but their own feelings, so they can go and do something stupid to themselves. And I mean that. That's all part of the self-harm element. Shut down, shut it off, go back to bed, shut out the outside world so you can go into that, do something silly to yourself. Now, doing something silly to yourself, sometimes at the end of the day, you can get so deep down in depression, so deep down in that dark space, and you look for reasons to stay alive. You look for reasons to give you hope, but you also are deliberately pushing people away. And that's what you have to recognize. Why do you push people away? I did a big podcast, a huge podcast, which I will post in here. There are reasons why I would push people away in the past, and that's because what's the point in getting close to someone when they're not here for the whole hog? If you're having an argument or you're having a disagreement, you must sort that out like a marriage. But each time, if you can't sort out sort out any boundaries, etc., with each other, and how you can best move forward, then there's not going to be any progression. It's like in a sense, it's a bit like a marriage. Friendship is like a marriage. You have to talk things through. And yeah, some people may not see things your way. Who's right? Who's wrong? I always say there's no rights and wrongs, but when you join in a situation with your friends or people you're knowing, acquaintances, etc., then I think out of respect, let someone know that you're all right. Don't play those games and give people the silent treatment. And I really mean that, because the person worried about you then starts to feel a state of depression and rejection and hopelessness as well. When I know that a lot of people with these disorders are very passionate about helping other people because they don't want other people to feel the way that they felt. So in a sense, taking mentoring from somebody that has lived it, is breathing it, and actually can be honest with their feelings to say, you know what, I might be in a position, but I too struggle with my emotions. No one pretended to be well here. No one pretended to have all the answers here. But what we do know is that each day we get an opportunity. We've got to make it great. We've got to find pleasure in the day. I wasted a whole day away yesterday in my bed. A whole day because I was upset. I was upset because somebody else was upset and they weren't prepared to talk. And when they weren't prepared to talk, it left me with worry, absolute worry. Are they going to be all right? Because I know what they're doing. They're deliberately pushing away. So they only have to be responsible for their self, their own emotions, and not worry about anybody else's. So therefore, they could go back to their old ways. But I know me. I know what they do. So therefore, I'm very blunt. I know what you're doing. And when I confront them, they tell me I'm right. That was what they were planning. My instinct, I trust my instinct. And Shaz, you're right. I think most need to learn to communicate and use words appropriately. I do think that too. But one of the things that I know, and this is my own research, is sometimes that with these disorders, that when you pamper to it and you go, they're there, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's a temporary bandage. If in order to change the thought process, you have to be firm with people sometimes because they're so used to having things their way and so used to saying, no, this is what, I know what's best for me. But actually, I would challenge that when people say, I know what's best for me, if they're still losing friends throughout and they're not getting on with anyone else. What's best is, yes, it's to be protected so you're not getting mean words thrown at you. You're not being called names. You're not being called a liar. And you're certainly not hearing the words, I can't trust you. I can't trust you is a big statement. And because that's what we all want, isn't it? To be able to trust someone. I think on first impressions, when we meet someone, yeah, we're dubious. We want to know what their aims are. But don't we give somebody the benefit of the doubt that they mean good at the start? I think we meet somebody majority of the time on their true reflection of who they are because they try to be really nice. Hi, because they're trying to impress you. But that's the real them, the nice side. But as they get closer and closer and closer to you, you find things out about them and they may not like that and retract back by pushing you away, by making up an excuse that they don't like something you've said. Okay, you don't like something someone said. Let's talk about it. There are no rights. There are no wrongs. Okay? But there has to be an equal balance of respect when you're in someone's circle. Respect. That's very difficult to give, but it should be given until proven otherwise. I think I'll always give people 100%, and when they mess up, they knock themselves off the pedestal and they downgrade themselves. So I'm going to read your comment. She says, don't cuddle them. You are, let me have a look. Don't cuddle them. You are correct. Challenge them, but be careful of trigger words. Well, we don't, and this is the big thing, isn't it? We don't know. I'm going to leave your comment up because I think it's brilliant. We don't know what those trigger words are. We don't know what people's triggers are until it happens. And then we find out what it is. But will they give you an opportunity to explain how it made them feel? Hi, you've just, this feels uncomfortable with what you're saying. Maybe it's not what you've done or said it, but it's taken me back to a place and time where I've heard it before. If you're hearing a repeatance of words that somebody said before, then please do analyze what it is, specifically if it's good information. I'm not talking about those that down put you. I've had some people put me down, not my self-esteem down, but is that because I allow it? Am I going to allow them to knock my self-esteem down temporarily? Yes, words hurt. It is those words that hurt more than anything. And then when people write about you or indirect write about you, that hurts too. And yeah, you know what? You want to get revenge. You want to let them know how they've made you feel. So what do? You write indirect statuses or you do lives. or whatever else you want to do. Some people haven't got the courage to do lives. Some people will not actually entertain anything like writing on their Facebook. So they go into a silent world, shut everybody off and shut down. Self-harm, right, is pretty dangerous. And I want those that do not understand self-harm, that it does not mean cutting. It doesn't mean taking meds, unnecessary meds and things like that. It means that you're sleeping, going back to bed, which is what I wanted to do. I specifically left a message to let someone know, yeah, I'm fine, but I don't want to speak to anyone. And then I analysed myself and I realised what I was doing. I was going back to an old habit. Shut off the outside world. I can go back to my duvets and not worry about anybody else. Because you know what? Over the weeks and months, I keep thinking to myself, oh, you can't believe that. I mean, battery's going to go. Over the weeks and months, I've pushed so hard in this, with this project, right? And I have not really had much help, much commitment, much support. And I think my battery's going to go, so I can't find that for my laptop. So if it cuts off, oh well. I tried and I tried and I tried today to get something, to get my courage up and to get something right and not retract back into my duvet. I refuse to lay down, That's why I got back up here today. And as getting back up here today, sorry, I did it. I achieved not going back to my duvet. So I think if anybody's struggling and they go back to bed and they sleep too much and don't want to do anything, try not to cut off the outside world. That's what I'm saying. Try not to cut them off, because at the end of the day, you affect everybody when you too cut them off. Okay? I think we all play a part, because when somebody wouldn't answer the phone, this is important. I'm really trying to find my charger here. And when somebody cuts off the outside world and you're left worrying, then it's basically, it's not good feeling. So somebody tried to call me and I didn't want to answer the phone. But then I thought, hold on a minute, I've just had this done to me. They didn't want to answer the phone. I know how it feels. I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. I appreciate your call. I appreciate your concern. I'm really good. I promise I'm good. I'm just going to put it down to reduce my anxiety, and I will be back tomorrow. And you know what? I'm here. I have down days too, but I'm here. I'm showing up for my therapy. And I encourage anybody else to. And we have therapy every Wednesday, It's called Me Time. And if you'd like to be a part of that and get to know other people, like-minded, we're all in this together. That choice is yours. Get in touch with me. What's this one? If I can get this in. If they don't respect or value themselves, then they can't give it to someone who is trying to support them. It's not easy to be supportive when you have mental ill health yourself. Thank you for that. You're absolutely right. Mental health, that's a word, isn't it? We have to find out what is making us feel unbalanced. What are the triggers? And explain them triggers. Don't avoid them. Get through them. You will get through the storm and live in hope. That's a vision to going forward. Have a good day.